Okay. Sorry, members of the jury, you shouldn't really be talking. Okay, and I'm also going to just call to the fact that we are dealing with the witness Jesse Duar, so make sure that you are addressing that.
All please attend with respect. Alright, please state your name and age for the court.
My name is Jesse Duar and I'm 20 years old.
And in what way, if any, do you know the defendant, Morgan McGrath?
Morgan and I have had some classes together over the years at James State University, and we were in the same chemistry class in the spring of 2001. We weren't really friends outside of class, though.
When was the first time you acquainted yourself with Morgan?
One of the first times I spoke to Morgan was in the chemistry lab on the evening of March 14, 2001. Since I wasn't able to attend the Tuesday session that week, I was making up an assignment I was allowed to complete as long as it was turned in by 5 p.m. Friday of that week.
Okay. What were the rules as to the availability of that lab?
Well, first of all, there were no night classes, and even though buildings on campus close at 6 p.m., buildings are at students' disposal 24 hours a day if necessary. Part of the rules include that a student needs to scan his or her student ID upon entering the building, assuming it's after 6 p.m. when the building's closed. In addition, if a student's inside the building and the clock strikes 6, the student must leave, scan their card, and then re-enter. Lastly, if the student chooses to leave the building, or when the student leaves the building, they must scan their ID card one last time to show that they have officially left.
So what happened the night of March 14th?
Well, Tracy Wayans, Morgan McGrath, and I were working in Lab 2A on the same assignment, which involved us to basically take 20 different acidic solutions and chemical compounds and test them at various temperatures, the highest being 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And at that point, what we had to do, we were each provided with our own hot plates and microscopes, some flasks, and a petri dish. And we had to pour each substance into a petri dish and examine it under a microscope to determine if any, what kinds of organisms were able to thrive in the substance.
Okay. What kind of interactions, if any, did you have with Morgan and with Tracy?
Well, we were conversing throughout our work session. Since Tracy and I are good friends, it was a breeze really talking with both her and Morgan, with whom she's also good friends. Otherwise, we headed out at 6 p.m. as is proper protocol to scan our cards before we headed back into the lab soon after.
How did Morgan's actions evolve throughout the night?
Well, Morgan was telling Tracy a joke about an old neighbor of his that I didn't believe, and when I confronted Morgan about that, Morgan became irate with me. He insulted me, called me an idiot, and basically told me that I didn't
Objection,
know
Your Honor,
almost
to
anything.
say testimony.
Mr. Duars, you were there, correct?
Yes, the conversation involves me.
Could you relate the exact statement from the defendant?
As in Morgan's exact words?
Yes.
Morgan said to me that I was an idiot and that I didn't know anything.
What were the rules concerning the usage of the lab?
Well, first of all, sinks were available at each lab station, and basically, if you're using any flasks or dishes, you have to wash them when you're finished with them. In addition, microscopes have to be put away in wall cabinets above the counters, and hot plates have to be unplugged, turned off, and cooled off for 15 minutes before they can be put away in cabinets underneath, cabinets underneath the counters.
At about what time did your work start to wind down?
I'd say at about 7 o'clock, the three of us started to wind down, though I had finished a little bit earlier than Tracy and Morgan. As Tracy and Morgan were finishing their own experiments up, I talked with them for a bit, and then at about 7:25, they put their hot plates away. Then we all left.
How did you clean up your workstation?
Well, I'll admit I wasn't as diligent as I should have been, and I didn't put my hot plate away, though I did unplug it and turn it off. In addition to that, I also turned off the lights and the master power switch as is proper protocol. The master power switch, each lab has one, and turning it off also shuts off gas and electricity provided to each room.
How did you all go about leaving?
Well, Tracy was parked in a different parking lot than Morgan and me, so we headed our separate ways. At that point, however, Morgan said he had to go back into the bathroom, so I waited outside until he came back, though it did take a while.
And what, if any, was strange about Morgan's departure from the building?
Well, when Morgan, first of all, re-entered the building, he came back from the left side, which was a little strange because the restrooms are on the right side and the left side is in the direction of Lab 2A. I found that odd because we really weren't working in the lab anymore, so there was no reason for Morgan to be heading in that direction. In addition, when Morgan came out, he was sweating profusely, he had shortness of breath, as though he had been possibly running throughout the building. Again, which was strange because we had completed our work and there was no reason for him to go back into the building, aside from the bathroom, of course. And so, after that point, I jokingly talked to Morgan because he really seemed to be a nervous wreck. And I joked with him that I was angry about having to wait, but Morgan really became upset. And although he sarcastically apologized to me, he then headed off saying he had to get home and complete his studies.
What had you expected after discovering the fire?
Well, at that point, I wasn't really sure what to think, but I started to put the pieces together and realized that there was a possibility Morgan might have been the cause of this fire. As a result, I called the Temple County Fire Department, Police Department, to alert them of my experiences.
And what relations, if any, have you had with Morgan since the night of March 14th?
I haven't spoken to him since.
That's all.
Did the defense care to cross-examine the witness?
Yes.